Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth and Story, and this is going to be a look at the Way Home Tarot. This is by Bakara Wintner, and the art is by Autumn Whitehurst. Now, this video is for Patrick. He has literally harassed me into doing this particular video today. So that you are getting this video because of his harassment in the best possible way. So this is a deck that really wasn't overly on my radar. Again, my friend Patrick had said something about this deck in an Oracle deck, but I'll be honest, I looked at the Oracle deck and it was a real modern Oracle deck that, you know, just in general wouldn't be something that I would normally be interested in. So I didn't look super close at the tarot deck. He had pre-ordered it. I don't know if it was on a Kickstarter or what it was, but he had pre-ordered both the Oracle and the tarot deck. And about a week or so ago, he had gotten his deck and Oracle and tarot deck in and was showing me images of the tarot, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not at all what I thought it was going to look like that looks really interesting, and that kind of stuff. And I ordered it the day that he got his in. I ordered mine and it actually shipped out relatively quickly. But I've had this for a little while, and I have done readings for myself with it. Sometimes when I get a deck, not very often, but occasionally I will get a deck in that feels really personal for a little while, feels like something I want to really kind of work with a little bit, and I sometimes don't feel like rolling right into a particular reading. That's usually not the case, because part of my process of processing through a deck is generally to do with doing a walkthrough. But in this case, I was just kind of, I didn't have a lot of time to do it because I had other things to do. I had shuffled it up because I had been using it for myself, and so then I had to put it back into order and all that kind of stuff. So I have put it back into order, and so this is a deck review. I haven't used it for a long period of time, but it's not a first impressions. I have used this in a number of readings for myself and others. So, you know, take that for what you will. The deck comes in a decent box. It's nice and solid. It's nothing super fancy. You know, you do still have sort of raw cardboard in the middle of it, but it's got a beautiful overlay of the back, and I absolutely love the backs of it. It has, again, you know, kind of a cardboard box insert with an overlay of very simple image on the box. We do have the copyright information here, but other than that, it's just a simple box that is sturdy enough to hold it. It's going to protect it. It's a nice box. It's nothing fancy or extra to it. It's a box to hold your cards that is perfectly good. I don't feel like I have to get something else to put the deck in. So it's a serviceable box. The cardstock is thin. It kind of reminds me of, say, US Games cardstock. So it's thin, but it doesn't feel like bad cardstock. My only negative is what you see just right there. It is very slippy. So it does tend to slip about quite a bit. It's not super glossy or laminated. Like, I mean, it's a satin, I would say, is what you would call. So it just doesn't glare. It really does feel like a good mass market cardstock. You know, if I had to guess, you know, I would probably guess maybe, say, like Make Your Playing Cards. I think the Make Your Playing Cards has really stepped up their cardstock. I have another deck of theirs that I actually love the cardstock on. So I don't know, but it is thin, and it feels like a mass market, like, again, US Games, Los Scarabeo, that type of thing. It shuffles really beautiful, and my only downside is I wish it wasn't quite so slippy, and some of that might die down with more use, but it does slip about quite a bit. You know, you can just hold it steady, and I'm not the steadiest person, but it starts to slide. But it riffle shuffles like a dream if you're a riffle shuffler like I am, and so that's a big plus. There is no guidebook, there is no little white book, there is nothing. I do wish, I shouldn't have done that. I do wish there were cutouts. I understand maybe not all printers offer cutouts, but cutouts are actually important, because if you do what I just did, and you put the lid on without the weight in it, it can be a pain to get it off. So if they're, you know, my just suggestion to deck creators is if they're making a 2-piece box and there's an option for a cutout, use it. It's really not just frivolous. It makes getting in and out of deck boxes easier, and that makes a difference if you're somebody who's getting in and out of your boxes a lot. Now, there is not a little white book, nor is there a guidebook for this deck. It just comes as you see it. I do wish there was at least a little white book in there. I think that that is helpful regardless. However, again, I use them very rarely. I do like some guidebooks that give us an idea as to why somebody created the art to look the way that it does. I like that peek into what the person was thinking when they created it visually. I really enjoy that. But the truth of the matter is I don't use guidebooks overly much. I don't return to a lot of guidebooks. I do have exceptions to that, but for the most part, I'll look through them to get a feel for what the creator had in mind, but I don't often use them after that initial look. So that's less of a plus or a minus for me. I guess I feel like probably if you're not going to include a guidebook, at least having a little white book is something that is appreciated. The author did write a book a couple years prior to this called WTF Tarot, I believe is the title. It's WTF. I think it's WTF Tarot, something along that lines, that does use the images from this deck. There are some changes. I don't have the book, but I did read quite a chunk of it, and I did look at, and my friend Patrick, who made me doing this video, he has the book, and so I have seen that there are some variations, like the Temperance card, or I think it's a Temperance. Anyways, there's one of the cards that has a peacock in it, and you can see that it's similar, but it's not the same as this final version. So there may be differences there, but it does kind of have most of the cards from this deck. But again, that was written a couple years ago. It didn't come out with this deck. But the video here today is about the deck, and this is how the deck comes, which is without any guidebook. Oh, I just did it again. Oh well. Oh well. Okay, so let's look at the cards, because one of the nice things about no guidebook or anything like that is it focuses on the cards. And this deck, I'm going to give you a prequel to my feelings about this deck, is that I love this deck. It does have a and I won't say that I love every single card in this deck. I don't know if there are very many decks that I could say that of, but I really love most of the cards in this deck. I really love the energy of the deck. It reads really beautiful. I'm a big fan, a really big fan. So let's just get into these beautiful cards. Okay, so again, the backing is stunning. It's probably my favorite thing about fronts or backs is probably this particular card. I think it is, or this image. It's just vibrant. It's beautiful. I love everything about it. I love it. You do get a mix of art styles. One of the reasons also, even when Patrick was first showing me to when he got his, one of the reasons I was a little bit still hesitant to purchase the deck is because there is a mix of styles where you'll get a very maybe minimalistic, and then you'll get a card that is very full color, a lot going on, and it feels like there is a variety of styles of art in it. It's one artist, but it feels like it visually looks like there's a lot of styles in it, and I didn't think that would be cohesive, but I will say after using it that it's actually one of its charms, and one of the things that I actually do really like about it. It just goes to show sometimes you just gotta try to do something that maybe even a little bit against what you think is your normal, what you love. So what I love about the Fool card is it orients us as the Fool, right? It's like we're looking down at our feet. We've got the cliff over the side. We have the path and the road ahead. And there is a call to adventure here, right? There is a call to stepping off of the cliff. And I absolutely love that. Love it. Here we have the Magician card. We have the Cups, we have Pentacles, we have Wand, we have the Sword, we have the As Above, So Below, we've got the Lemon Scott. Like everything is here. What I love is that because we have such a pastel background and yet the hands really pop out, is that it really puts the power of the Magician in the hands of the Magician, right? The Magician has the power to bring things from the spirit, bring things from the esoteric into the physical realm, and it's in the hands of the Magician, and I absolutely love that about that card. So here you can see where, now these are still, you know, full card imagery, so this kind of doesn't count. You'll see as it goes, but all of a sudden then we will have a really dark full-on card, and then you'll see some even lighter where we have less things going on here. Again, it ended up being one of the things that I actually really love about the deck when you're actually using it. This High Priestess is beautiful. For me, the High Priestess is all about the water, and this card is all about the water. We have the third eye, we have the closed eyes going inward, but it's all about the stars and the water, and I think that is all you need about the High Priestess. She is diving into the waters of power. She is that, it's that internal ocean that is within each of us, in which our power, our psychic energy, our intuitive energy resides. It's perfect. I absolutely love it. I'm going to say I absolutely love a lot of this, and I do apologize. But you can see the art here already is a little bit different, right? There's a very different vibe between this and this, so to speak. This is an amazing Empress card. We have several different types of trees here growing out of the heart. I mean, it's perfection. This is probably one of the cards that I was like, well, I have to have it just for that card. Sometimes sometimes I buy decks like that, where there's just a card that is so beyond perfect that you just have to have it no matter what the rest of the deck is. And this is definitely one of those. The Emperor is similar. Look at this. The Emperor has this tall, like pine type tree here, whereas these are sort of trees that lose their leaves and regrow back. We have this pine tree here, and it coming out of the brain instead of the heart. So we have the heart and the brain of things here. I just think this is an amazing Empress and Emperor combination. Love the Hierophant. Again, different style art here, but it works. It's a couple different things here. I love the mushroom. I love the connotation of going like on a journey with mushrooms, shamanic-y feel to it. But I also like that we have the one mushroom with the little mushrooms coming off of it, and they're kind of learning the lessons from the larger mushroom. There's just a lot of things in this image to me that works for a Hierophant card, which I really enjoy. It's beautiful, lovers. I mean, I don't know, really. I love that you see the back and the front. They almost seem as if they are doing this amazing sort of mating ritual dance with just beak to beak touching. It's just beautiful. I love that we have this muted rainbow in the background. So we have the higher self, sort of the conscious self and the unconscious self. Those three aspects are still there for me to use. It's just a beautiful lovers card. Love this Chariot. Love the use of the salmon. All of this rushing water, this energy that is just coming at the salmon, right? Because the salmon's jumping upstream. And so having all of this energy and this water just coming at the salmon, and it's just pulling its own power and its own energy to push itself upward is just so beautiful, and such a strong Chariot card is my birth card. I'm not always a fan of Chariot cards. This I'm definitely a fan of. I love the Justice card. I mean, it's just, it's black and white. It's perfectly weighted and balanced. We have the sword here, but with the way that it's set, you get the feeling of the scales. Everything is in perfect balance. They're not the exact. If you look at them, this is not just a mirror image, but it's weighted in just the perfect balance of things, and I think it's gorgeous. This is another card that made me say, if I get it for nothing else, I would have to get this deck just for this card. It's the Hermit. He is hibernating, and it looks to me like he has, there's a little, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. Hopefully it will focus. There is a little firefly instead of a lantern. This is, you know, this is an amazing card. Probably one of my all-time favorite Hermit cards. Wheel of Fortune. I love this Wheel of Fortune. I love this Wheel of Fortune. It's a you know, it's a Ferris wheel. The changing, the glowing lights, the hopes and expectations that people go to the fairs and festivals, the, you know, all of that is there, but just this idea of life is change, life is moving. Sometimes you're at the top where you get the clear view of the sky, and sometimes you're at the bottom where you can't really see where you're going yet. It's just, I think it's really pretty, and it works well. Love this Strength card. I love the that the hip bone is here. You know, that is sort of what centers us, right? Our legs come down from it, our spine comes up with it, our upper body, our lower body meet in the middle here. This is at the root of things. I love the snake holding together, the kind of woven in between here. You still get the idea of nature and civilization, or mankind coming together and being interconnected. It's just really gorgeous. It's a great expression of the Strength card. And what are you supposed to say? It's a cocoon that has the entire universe within it. What I do like about this versus another, because yes, you can just look at this, you have something hanging, right? So yeah, it's a hanged man. But what I like about this is the promise that if we do the work of changing our perspective, if we do the work of allowing us to hang upside down and sacrifice what we are, because we start, in this case, as a caterpillar, it's going about its own business, being perfectly happy as a caterpillar. But if we're willing to sort of sacrifice the known existence for a fresh perspective, it's going to give us new life. It's going to completely change everything. And it gives a real power, I think, to the Hanged Man. This is definitely one of the more difficult cards in terms of for people that obviously don't want to see slaughtered animals. Obviously, when we get into the swords, we're going to see some similar things here. However, what I do appreciate about this is that it's natural death, right? It's natural, it's winter, it's uncomfortable, and I would definitely prefer that this not be the death card, just because I don't particularly like to see dead animals and or dead humans. I am equal opportunity here. I'm not a big fan of the Ten of Swords with dead humans in it either. But the fact of nature isn't always so nice and clean as we, I think in the esoteric world, in the even the more pagan paths and things, we sometimes, I think human beings in general, we have a habit of romanticizing things that we that speak to us, that say a lot to us. And the natural world is one that has wolves that attack deer. In the natural cycle of things die so that other things can eat, and it all goes back into the earth. I like the blurredness of this image, as if it's almost as if the deer is starting to sink into the snow already and go back into, or it's part of the cycle of life. And so it's definitely a difficult card. It's not, you know, you know, something that we want to again see in a card. But what I like is it's just a natural aspect of life and death, and it is part of our natural world. So there's that. This is actually my least favorite card in the deck. This is the Temperance card I was talking about. I actually like the version that's in the book better. This is, I believe it's the back of a peacock, basically. You can see the peacock here to some degree. I think this might be the head. So maybe this is actually the front of the peacock, actually, with the back tail up there. It's kind of hard to tell. And then it looks like a ring of crystals in the middle. The image in the book is a little bit more, you see like the whole body with the tail kind of draping down, but it's just not my favorite image, but it's not terrible either. What I do like about this is that we have really highlighted both the wings and the feathers, the beautiful fancy tail feathers of a male peacock. So for me, it's that, again, when you're always thinking about the twos and the combinations, right? A peacock is not all about their beautiful tails. They also have amazing wings. I watched a couple videos of peacocks in flight. They don't fly, you know, across oceans, but they can fly to get up into higher branches to roost in, and if startled, if they need to for danger and things of that nature. And they're really quite beautiful when they do so. So I do like sort of this blending of perhaps practical usefulness of the powerful wings, but then also that beautiful display of the tail feathers, which is also useful in gaining a mate. But again, probably my least favorite in the deck, but I can appreciate it. I know what the Temperance card is about. It doesn't really stop me from processing the Temperance card there. I will say, and this is the first one in of the ones that come up, there is definitely some social commentary in the deck in a couple of different ways, which is not always my favorite thing. It's one of the reasons I probably stay away from modern decks, is that while I think it's good to have social commentary in my decks, I tend to want them to, I don't tend to want that to take place in my tarot decks. That's just personal preference and how I like to have my decks be. But this is really powerful with the Devil as the Chariot card, right? Because you're so taken in by and tempted by the glitz and the glamour of the circus, right? Of the big top. And yet there's such a dark history and a dark underbelly that go with circuses as well, and certainly in conjunction with animals that were certainly kept in circuses and things of that nature. And so I do think it's a very powerful image of the devil, where there is temptation. There is actually a lot of fun at a circus, right? It's not, the devil isn't really tempting us to do things that aren't fun in most cards, right? There is a temptation to those lights and to those fun and the popcorn and the sugar and the amazing acts and all of the things that are there that are a really big draw. But at the same time, that there is so much underneath the layer of things that you're not seeing, that you're being distracted by the lights from. So I think that's a really powerful. But again, you can see, I think you're starting to see where there is quite a bit of difference in the way that the cards present in terms of look. And again, I really did think that would lead to a really disjointed deck. And in the end, I don't really find that to be the case. I love this Tower card. I love the sort of little cabin out in the woods, although there's one coming that I love even more with the cabin in the woods. Is another reason why I wanted the deck. But I just, it doesn't have to be this giant tower of Rapunzel's tower, right? That it's just when our lives are being interrupted by this act out of the blue. There was no real preparation here. We've got this, the trees around it are burning. That's burn, like it's, there's definitely some starting from the ground up when the incident of the energy of this tower close off. beautiful star card, you know, after all that. And it almost looks, and because, you know, the star, we have this incident of the tower that occurs, and then the star card follows next to give us hope. And it really does almost look as if these are burned out trees. I'm not saying that they are, because they could just be trees in winter, but, you know, it's following where all of these trees were burnt, and these trees almost look like they could be burnt out trees, and yet the star is standing there. The water is still there to feed the land, and there is this hope and this promise that things will grow again. And so I quite like that combination of cards. Love the moon card. I mean, if you watch my channel, you know I love moons. I love the reflection. You have the white wolf here, this gray silver wolf howling, and the reflection is looking right at you, and is a black wolf. I mean, come on. And then you get the little crab coming up there too. This to me is an awesome moon card. And then the sun. I mean, I love these. Simple moon. This could have been the sun card, but I love that. That's like a perfect sun card to me. It's bright. It is the sun. It is going to allow for growth. It can also be really brutal. There's a lot going on that you can, I think, run with this, but it's just beautifully recognizable as the sun. Stunning judgment card, right? Stunning judgment card. We have a cicada that has shed its skin and just is going up, right? It's had that period of change and metamorphosis and shift, and it is just upward flying. It's stunning. It's a stunning, simple, gorgeous judgment card. And then there's another reason why I had to buy this deck. That is my cottage out in the midst of my woods, up on the top of my mountain. Somewhere is waiting for me. And yeah, I just don't even know what else to say other than that is perfection. That is the universe in the quiet of a winter's night. I adore it. I adore it. So that's the major arcana. Absolutely beautiful. Again, the peacock's probably the only one that's not my favorite rendition. Many of these are absolutely favorites. And the death of card is obviously difficult if you don't want to see images of injured animals. That is definitely difficult to look at, but I like that it is natural. Now, I do want to do something I haven't done in a while. I used to do this all the time, but I am going to do this now because I love these aces. Absolutely love the aces, so I just want to stop a minute. Look, they are like the platonic, oops, I'm going to mute my phone. There's a platonic, that is the platonic shape for fire. This is not the platonic shape for air, but I just like the geometric along with the, I just think they're beautifully and clear and gorgeous. This is the platonic shape for water. So, you know, maybe I'm incorrect all of this time. I guess I should look it up, because in my understanding, and this is why I use this, well, A, I play D&D, B, for geomancy, I use, this is for water, because that is a shape of water. This is for fire, because that is the shape of fire. This is for earth, because that is the shape of earth. And, well, no. Maybe it's just the angle it's at. It could, you know what, that could just be the angle that it's at. It could be tipped up. This is the shape for air, which is the 8-sided. And I actually think that what this is it's just tipped up so that you're seeing that back. You're seeing the back there. So I actually think that that's right. So that's the shape for air. And so I just love that. And I love the colors. Here we have the sort of turquoise, the green, blue, yellow would have been perfect for me, but blue, air, and the fire. I just think they are simple and clear and clean. I just love them. Those are just big big favorites of mine for aces. I love, 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 love them. Okay, let's put them back in the pile. Okay, so here we are with the wands, with the ace. Again, I've already said I love it. Here we have the Two of Wands. I love that bringing the two wands together, causing that friction that is going to start the fire that's going to grow into the three. I absolutely love that. You can see the imagery that you very clearly shows they are starting a fire. They're using the friction there to create a spark, to create heat, and to create that fire. And I love that. Look at this Three of Wands, right? Now we have this path forward here that's created. Look at that beautiful little world inside there. I love it. I love it. Four of Wands. Now we've got a full blaze going, right? Let's stop at the fire pit. Enjoy the moment. There's further down the road to go, but let's sit and enjoy the moment around the fire we have right now. Five of Wands, very disruptive, right? We've got this pointing kind of in the wrong direction, right? If you look, like that should be pointed in the other direction. We got arrows all over the place. We've got flame and everything, but it's not being directed very well. And I like that sense of misdirection in this particular card. That the energy of fire isn't being used effectively in this chaos. Six of Wands. Look at the Six of Wands. And what is coming up for us all to admire is the sun. Oh, I love this card. Seven of Wands, standing its ground. Look at that. Look at that. You know, you normally have it and there's like all these things coming at it. You're going across it, standing right in the middle of that bridge, just holding the line here. Is that seventh wand. Love it. Eight of Wands. Look at that. I love Eight of Wands cards in which the energy is all coming to a head, coming to a point. You'll see this. I love it in the Fountain Tarot. I can't think of any other at the moment, but I love where there is this sense of all of this energy is coming to this point here of impact. Be ready because great things are about to occur. Love it. Absolutely love this Nine of Wands. This has shown up for me personally quite a bit in using this deck. We did, I think it was, I don't know if it was the year after Michael passed, we did have some fun memories of letting loose just my family. We didn't do anything big. It was just my immediate family, and some of them were successful, some of them weren't. There was tears and there was laughter. So I have fond memories in general. I also absolutely love Tangled, and I can sing that entire song, which I will not do for you, where she sees, last she sees the light. But for the Nine of Wands, I love that all of the energy of the wands, right? Because nines are about dynamic energy. And all of that fire energy is what's allowing all of this to rise up. So rather than letting the energy be disruptive and unfocused and not do anything, allowing it to do work the way it's supposed to work is going to cause that energy to rise up. And the things that you're trying to achieve and transformation to rise up. Love it. Love it. And then the Ten of Wands, we have burnt a lot of matches, right? This is an interesting Ten of Wands because you could read this as like, oh, well, this is a culmination of the Ten of Wands is a bunch of matchsticks. Yeah, because you've used your energy. You have not been squandering it. You have not been, you have gone through your matchbook. You have been doing the work. You've been transforming. You've been creating. You've been lighting those matches and starting those fires. Now what's next, right? Because 10 always goes into 1. We're going to step into the next phase. But this isn't wasted energy. This is all this energy that's been used is how I choose to read it. Love it. So now there's an interesting thing. I'm going to zoom back out again because, you know, why not? I have a zoom and unzoom button. I might as well use them. So I do really love the court cards in this deck. They are all silhouettes. So we have the daughter, we have the son, we have the amazing, she just looks so sad. They all look sassy. Let's be honest, they all look sassy. They're all silhouettes. You do get some degree of a feel of a race in some of them, but they're silhouettes of people, and they have, we've got the fireworks going off, we've got the volcano going off, we've got a beautiful scenery in the Queen of Wands. We have the water and the lightning strike here in the Father of Wands. It feels very fire. It feels very wandy. It feels very dynamic. And I just like the use of the silhouettes. It feels very modern, but at the same time, they really stand out in a reading, which is something, again, that I do appreciate. So, excuse me. Love it again. Zooming back, zooming in, zooming in. Okay, so now we are to my lovely swords. I love the swords. I love the feather and the sword, almost like the quill and the pen is mightier than the sword kind of feeling. I love it. Love the crossed swords and things sort of hanging on by a thread. It's really not going to take much to pull apart this block that's there. For me, it's bringing the head and the heart together, and we can come through this obstacle really easily. This is a really interesting Three of Swords, right? Because you almost have a sense of an hourglass here, where you've got things coming in and you can turn it over, and it's almost like the time in an hourglass, and that there is definitely a shattering that takes place, right? But at the same time, look at this very two crossed swords here that cause a firm foundation as well. So it's interesting because some experiences are cutting in cleanly and causing a foundation for growth of the mind. Other ones are really disruptive to the growth of the mind. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. I really like this. I prefer it to the typical heart and, somebody, being stabbed in the heart or something like that, because I see the Three of Swords as growth of the mind, and that can come from disruptive, and it can also come from non-disruptive experiences on both hands. I really like this. It's something I think that over time I'm going to grow even more kind of resonance with the imagery here. It speaks to me, and I prefer it again over many Rider-Waite-Smith versions. Look at these little Four of Swords. I love this. They're just taking a break here before they turn into full on, like, who knows what those are. Those could be vultures. They definitely have a little bit of a hooked beak feel, like who knows what those are, and they're going to come into the fullness of their power, but right now they're just taking a break. They're tired. It's rough being little. Love it. This is an interesting one. Now, I actually really love Daddy Long Legs. Growing up, I'm not a huge fan of spiders, but I do enjoy spiders, right? The meanings behind spiders, and I really had a big affinity with Daddy Longlegs spiders while I was growing up. So I don't kind of like how it looks like the Daddy Longleg has lost some of its legs, but this is really disruptive energy. Again, much like the Five of Wands, where you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere with this energy going all over the place. This spider's not going to get anywhere with its energy being, the mental energy being all over the place. It's really disrupting that movement forward. So I can appreciate it. I feel for the Daddy Longleg. I'm glad that it's kind of really takes it out of reality with the little sword hilts. I love the Six of Swords. Look at the Six of Swords. Grow from where you are, right? So we can see sort of what looks like the remnants of conflict, which we often see with the Six of Swords. But from that comes the growth, that movement away and towards the sun. I really love this. I love the Seven of Swords too, right? There is more underneath than meets the eye. There's more going on than me. This is exactly what I read the Seven of Swords as. Like, I could have made that Seven of Swords. There's more than meets the eye with the Seven of Swords. Something is going on. You don't have the whole picture, and there's more beneath the surface than you're paying attention to. The Eight of Swords with the poor little lightning bug, right? But he can fly up out of that. She can fly out of this thing. Just kind of pause for a moment, write yourself. Use your brain for a minute here and get yourself up and out of the situation. Yeah. Nine of Swords. This is an interesting one. You know, obviously this also kind of speaks to the nightmare of post-industrialization and pollution and these types of things, which we also see in another card as well. I think it's the Eight of Cups. But what I like is that there's a lot of energy going on in the mind, and we can either use that, like the tip of the swords, for clarity and cutting through, or we can allow that to really clutter up and smoke up and fog up our minds. And so I like that there's sort of the dual nature of clear-cutting swords, or all of that mental energy is just causing pollution in your mind. What are you going to do with that energy? I quite like that. So this is obviously the other difficult one with the Ten of Swords. It does have all kinds of things in here, like this bird had clearly died from swallowing, you know, springs, and there's all kinds of stuff around it, right? And so it has some of the similar connotation from the Nine of Swords, in the sense that the Ten of Swords is where we've literally ingested all of these things into our mind. What we need to be doing is feeding our mind with the things that are going to help us to grow and move forward. We need to be done with putting the things in our mind that isn't serving us, and start fresh. So it's a difficult card because obviously people don't like to see dead animals, but you know, most of the time we're looking at literally dead humans and laying in a pool of blood. So I'm not sure why we have such an easier time with dead animals than humans, but you know, I think that the message here is something that can be worked with, and it's not overly gruesome. Again, we come to the swords. I love the clarity and cleanness of the snowflakes. I love the fast-moving energy of the tornado in the sun. The clean, clear icicle. And it's pointing inward as much as it is going to point outward of the Mother of Swords. And the very practical-minded use of the air as the wind turbines of the King of Swords, the thinker man here. Love it. So that brings us to the cups. Love these Two of Cups. Like, look at these two, I'm totally blanking. Look at these two jellyfish, just like in perfect harmony. I really think it's gorgeous. I'm sorry, I'm shuffling it. I do like the feel of these. I love the Three of Cups with the three little pearls here. There is that sense of celebrating with the oyster. You know, that's kind of feels like a bit of luxuriousness to the oyster. But what I really appreciate about this is that sense pearl comes from difficulties and pain and sand, you know, things that are irritating us, but taking that and turning that into this beautiful moment to connect with other people by our very humanness that is both has both the joys and the beauty of pearls, but also has those difficult areas also. I just think it's gorgeous. Four of Cups. You know, to me it's very it just to me is very serene. It's calm emotions, and that's how I read. You know, we do have some storm clouds brewing, but it's very serene water, and I love it because it's not the typical boredom of the Rider-Waite-Smith. It really reads the way I read the Four of Cups. Beautiful Five of Cups. I love this artist's use of like starry universe colorations. We've got the it's filled up there, it's kind of spilled out, you know. So you can run with that Rider-Waite-Smith. You can run with that as being, again, energy that's disrupted. It's not being used, it's being leaked away. We want to take that energy and be using that in a way that pushes us forward versus wastes it. So yeah, I love it. It's beautiful. Six of Cups. You know, it's like ice cream in these little cups. I love the dandelions. I love the ice cream here. I love the flower crown that I certainly made as a little girl. So there has that sense of going back when things were simpler and easier and seeing the world through that fresh gaze again. I mean, it speaks Six of Cups beautifully. Seven of Cups, again, things are getting a little lopsided here because you're trying to balance all this stuff. You need to pick what is your dream that you're going to focus on. Don't go for the illusion. And I like that you see like several, it's like you're drank a little bit too much and you're seeing multiples and you've got to figure out which one is the real one you should grab a hold of. I like that nature of that as well. So here, of course, with the Eight of Cups, this one was also probably not one of my absolute favorites in that I see the Eight of Cups as being a positive card of movement away, not from necessarily anything bad, although it's time to move on in a new direction. And so, again, I do think octopus are very smart. They can get themselves out of all kinds of situations, and they use the things that are around them. That's kind of how I'm running with this idea that yes, we do pollute the world with all kinds of things, but let's use what we have around us and start and move forward and keep moving forward. So this isn't my absolute favorite of the images, but it's certainly something I can work with. Love the Nine of Cups. I mean, this is just gorgeous, right? This is the wish. Let's all go sit on the beach and watch a beautiful sunset in a hammock, right? I love it. Love the colors. Love the Ten of Cups. I love the piled up cups and the way that would make all these amazing rainbows shooting out everywhere. Everything's coming up rainbows. Everything's happily ever after. I think it's gorgeous. Look at the daughter. I mean, come on. Look at that Daughter of Cups. Son of Cups. He's out moving forward. Again, you have that sense of motion and moving forward with the Sons. Beautiful, serene Mother of Cups. And the kind of foresty depth of deep water of the Father of Cups. That brings us to the Pentacles. I don't know why I'm singing it. I love the Two of Pentacles. It does really remind me of traditional Marseille style Two of Pentacles, which are my favorites. One of my favorite cards to look at in a Marseille style suit. Love the little snakes coming out of the Two of Pentacles. The eggs, I just love it. Three of Pentacles, hard at work together to build their nest, and they're busy worker ants. Love it. Love this Four of Pentacles because, again, I think a Four of Pentacles not as thievery or stealing or greediness. I really do think about this is a time to keep your resources close, right? If you get rid of that, you're gonna have a chance of falling off that and into the water, which wouldn't be horrible for the frog. But this is about keeping your money close and your resources, your energy, that stuff close, and I just love it. Again, I feel like this isn't just kind of a typical Rider-Waite Smith, and it really leaves it open. Most of the cards really leaves it open to a variety of interpretations, which is something really stunning as well. Here we have the Five of, again, disruption, right? Something has disrupted the energy of this plant growing. It has caused some rot or some disease to come in. So there's definitely this sense that the growth cycle has been disrupted, which we see in all of the fives in this deck. Really gorgeous. Six of Pentacles, we have the drying herbs here. These are resources to be shared. The earth is sustaining us. We need to sustain the earth. It's gorgeous. Love the Seven of Pentacles. You're planting the seeds. Now you've got to wait for that to come into fruition and get those lettuce in full bloom. So there is that sense of patience and waiting and new growth that's going to come from a firm, stable foundation of this really great looking soil to grow in. Eight of Pentacles. Love, love, love this. Like everything's in place. You know, you had the Three of Pentacles, the worker ants working together. There is a sense of this drone or this bee here has kind of perfected making that perfect uniform, mastered the art of making the hive, which is gorgeous. Nine of, I mean, that is such a fantastic, in a suit of Pentacles, which is about the earth, and they've shown a lot of planting and plant kind of energy and earthy energy, and so what would be the abundance of that would be the fruits of our labor, the fruits of the earth, just in abundance. I really love that. And then this is now all laid out. Absolutely just this beautiful spread that anybody would love to go and sit at. It looks like it's all set for a wedding to go on to the next generation. It's just beautiful. And then one of my favorites of the quartz is the Daughter of Pentacles, the hard-working Son of Pentacles, the fruitful Mother of Pentacles, and the solid, strong rendition of the Father of Pentacles. It's just a gorgeous deck. I'm so glad I didn't, you know, not kind of follow through with this deck because I thought it was going to feel disjointed or XYZ, because it's really fast becoming a favorite of mine. I think it's one that will be getting a lot of use. It is, again, if you're liking really thick cardstock, this is not thick cardstock, but it shuffles like a dream. I'm a big fan of, say, sorry, my brain's dying. US Games. I'm a big fan of US Games cardstock. Ooh, whoa. And this, it feels like that. It just shuffles really well. It riffles well. It feels good, even though it is thin. You know, there's a difference between crappy thin and good thin cardstock, and this feels like good thin cardstock to me. I hope that some of the slippiness goes away with usage. Let's just, there's not any obviously reading that is there in the guidebook because we don't have that, so I just like to lay it out in my typical, you know, if I'm, you know, instead of doing a Celtic cross, which I did for years and years and years, I have my own, you know, general reading, and I like to set them out that way to take a peek. So for me, that is, you know, we start sort of with the present. Here's where things stand in the middle. We have the past with the Seven of Wands that need to stand firm for what's important to you, to hold the line, has caused this amazing amount of growth to be able to occur. It's because of that ability to stand firm in the past that allows that, and that is going to stand us in good stead when because the Five of Pentacles may be coming up. There's some disruptive energy that's coming up, so we really need to sort of sink our roots in for that creative energy to help us to deal with because I don't believe in a fixed future. That's giving me a warning that some difficulties coming ahead, and so I really need to sink into the Empress energy, be seated in my power so that I can take care of this blight that is coming to the ahead. This is a position of fire for me with the Daughter of Wands. Lots of new creative energy in the offing. In the realm of air, I have the Father of Cups, right? So again, bringing that structured foundation of our feelings and our emotions into the mind set is going to be important. Again, there's no question here. I'm just kind of letting you see this laid out as a whole. In the realm of water, we have the Three of Wands. All of this potential here. If we can bring our mind and our heart again together, it's a big theme for me. I think it's a theme in a lot of issues that we have. that's going to create this potential within us in the internal realm. Remember, water is not just about our emotions or our relationships. Water is about that internal power that we have within us. Our psychic, intuitive energy is there. Being able to bring some structure, heart energy to our mind is going to open up that pathway in the inner realms. And then for the position of Earth, we have the Magician. We have everything that we need to manifest in the physical world, what we need to manifest there. And then what should we do? Use the power of the mind. The energy that's going on is a lot of mental energy with the Nine of Swords. Use that for clarity, not to fill our minds with pollution. And underneath it all is this moment of transformation that is occurring. So yeah, I just wanted to give an example of what it looks like, which is really stunning, and also how beautifully it can read. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. I have now fulfilled my promise to Patrick, who has been hounding me for this walkthrough, and I hope that you have enjoyed this. It's a really interesting deck. I think it is clean, and it is modern, and it is really readable, which is, a wonderful bonus. So thank you for taking the time to watch this, and I will talk to you later.